All right, so today I'm going to take out this instrument cluster here. This is a 1953 Packard Panama Clipper Super. And so I'll kind of walk you through how to do this. I've got some things I need to do to it. The little turn signal things here are missing, so it doesn't shine through green anymore. I want to take a look at the chrome that's failing here to see what options I have. And then the faces of the instruments are supposed to be red, and they've faded over time. Like that fuel gauge there is the correct color. So I'm gonna work on that and see if there's something I can do. At the same time, I want to see about repainting this gold bezel on the outside. So kind of walk you through how these things come out here. All right, so the first thing that we need to do here is to take off the speedo cable, and that just simply unscrews right from the back. You can see that cable going right there. So it just connects directly to the back of the instrument cluster. And just kind of put that off to the side for now. Now, if you're taking your instrument cluster off for the first time, be aware there are two bolts and nuts down here at the bottom. You can see that little thing sticking out right there in the center. Those need to be removed. Once you take this thing out for the first time, most people never put the nuts back on. Otherwise, you'll have to go through the whole struggle of getting them out again. There's one on this side, and there's one on the other side as well, kind of up underneath that area there. So it's a bit of a struggle to get them off, but once you get them off, leave them off. Don't put them back on again. Now, up here on the outside, there's going to be a screw right up here, and another one right over here on this side. We just undo these and then we can get this thing moved out. Okay, and that's ready to come out. One thing that I like to do is I'll put down a little rag here to keep it from scratching. My steering column's kind of messed up, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm gonna have to repaint it anyways. However, up under here underneath the dashboard, those little bolts on the bottom can scratch it if you're not careful. So I'm gonna pull this out a little bit here first. And then kind of lift this up, and I'll try to slide that rag underneath so that way I'm not accidentally scraping my dash paint off. And then pull it up this way as well. All right, so here are the things that need to come off. This orange wire right here, this is going back to the fuel sender back in the fuel tank. That needs to come out. This green wire here, that's going back to the temperature sensor to the engine. That needs to come off. You have a circuit breaker here. Both of the wires on these two posts need to come off. And then same thing on the other side here, another circuit breaker. And take off these wires on these two posts. And then the whole thing should be ready to come out. Now this goes without saying, but just as a reminder, you really got to take a picture of the routing of the wires before you start removing things to make sure that you get things back in the right place. Now all these little nuts here, these are just 3/8 inch. So we break those things loose. And I'll just put the nuts back on the posts so I don't lose them. And we'll just kind of keep working our way through here. Okay, we got all the posts undone. One thing that I forgot was this little light bulb needs to come out here as well. Okay, and that's for the brights. And after that, that should be everything. We should be able to just kind of pull this thing off here. Make sure I'm not connected. Still connected right here. Yeah, this little spade terminal here, this is just a flathead. Get loosened up. Alright, that should be all of it. And there we go. Alright, so you got the cluster out. I'm going to put this on a bench and let's disassemble it. Alright, so we got a new fuel gauge here. You can see that the temperature gauge is totally washed out. On this particular year, I think this was the only year that they had the ruby red gauges, and the paint was not very color fast. So this one, the fuel gauge is a new old stock, so it has not faded yet, but I'm going to try to see if I can match these faded areas to what the old paint looked like. We'll see how it goes. There's the clock. Same thing, this one should have a red face on it. One thing I neglected to mention before is the clock does have a dial right out here on the front. I'd removed it previously. That does stick through the glass. That has to be removed before you can pull the clock out. The clock also has its own fuse here, so don't lose that. The clock isn't working, so I might dig into that and see if I can figure out why. But that's not critical right now. And there's the speedometer. All right, so I got the bezel out with the glass still inside. To get those off, again, you're just going to take these little tabs here and bend those out, and that'll separate the bezel from the glass. I'm going to leave these for now, though, just set them aside. All right, so to get this last one off here, you can see there's a couple of small little bolts here. Really small. I'm using a 3/16 drive socket to get those out. And there we go. All right, so we got the bezels and the glass out, and at this point, this just separates. So you have maybe aluminum, stainless steel. I'm going to see if I can get this cleaned up and polished a little bit more. That just comes right off, and then underneath it is a layer of cardboard, and that's where we have our green. So again, I'm going to see if I can find some replacements for that or something that'll work. Okay, well, that's how you get it out. And removing it and putting it together are basically the opposite of each other. So to reinsert it, just put everything back in the way that you brought it out. Make sure you reattach the speedometer cable, and you're in good shape. Now, these few pictures show the restoration process after I disassembled the whole gauge cluster. The first one is showing the outer bezel, the gold. I found some paint that matched it pretty well and was able to clean that up and get that done. Also was able to source some new chrome bezels, a couple of new old stock ones, and they look much better. I also polished the glass while I had it out. As far as the gauges go, I did find some paint that was fairly close to the original. You can see that it's almost there, maybe just a touch different, but I was able to repaint all the gauges as well. This picture shows what the gauge cluster looked like when I got the car, and you can compare that to how I ended up after restoring it. Overall, very happy with the results.